The scent of motor oil clung to Tara's clothes like a second skin. Some kids came home to the smell of lavender candles or dinner on the stove. Tara came home to the sound of ratchets clicking, the clank of tools hitting concrete, and the low hum of her father, humming a tune while elbow-deep in an engine. Asterisk. Their garage sat behind their small two-bedroom home on the edge of Elridge, a town most people couldn't find on a map unless they grew up there. It wasn't much worn down with age and patched up with love, but it held stories, the kind that lived in old engines and dusty toolboxes. Tara loved it. It was where she learned to work with her hands, to listen to machines, to feel pride. In grease-stained poems. Her father, Jason DeWitt, wasn't a man of many words. But when it came to engines, torque specs, and carburetors, he spoke like a poet. He taught Tara everything he knew, not because he had plans for her to take over the garage, but because she asked. By 10, she could name every part of a V8 engine. By 12, she'd helped him rebuild one. And by 13, she was certain she wanted to fly. Not just fly-build planes. Engineer them. Understand them down to their bolts and wings. When she earned a scholarship to Fairview Preparatory Academy, a private school known for its STEM programs, Elite Aviation Club, and Airfield. Tara thought her path had finally opened up. But she soon learned that while Fairview had airplanes and robotics labs, it also had invisible barriers. Her first day at school, she wore the only jeans she owned that didn't have oil stains. Her shoes were secondhand, the soles worn smooth. The other students stepped out of sleek black cars, tote bags swinging, designer shoes squeaking on polished floors. She felt the stares before she heard the whispers. Who let the pit crew in? Is she here to fix the vending machines? It didn't take long before the jokes grew sharper, the tone crueler. Marissa Hart led the pack, a tall, sharp-featured girl with a voice that could slice through confidence like a hot knife. Her father owned Skylux International, a high-end travel company with private jets and luxury terminals. Don't stand too close, Marissa had said during their second week of aviation club. She smells like she bathes in diesel. The room laughed. Tara smiled politely, said nothing. She'd seen her father deal with men who looked down on him too, clients who talked down to a grease monkey. He always said, "Let your work talk louder than their mouths." So she stayed. She cleaned the simulator after the other kids used it. She volunteered to do the maintenance logs, triple-checked every screw and cable on the club's trainer plane. She even brought in a toolkit from Home Clean, labeled, better stocked than the school's own. Still, she was invisible. When club members took turns flying the school's Cessna, Tara was overlooked. When teams were formed for the school's drone races, she wasn't picked. Even though she understood circuitry better than half the kids in class. She spent her weekends not with classmates, but with her dad, working on their shared passion. Project, a 20-year-old glider they'd rescued from a scrapyard. It was dented, sun-faded, and missing half its parts. But to Tara, it was a masterpiece in the making. Why a glider? Her dad asked one evening as she tightened bolts on the wing frame. No engine means you have to respect the air, she said. It's all about the design, the lift, the flow. Every curve matters. Jason smiled. You're already thinking. Like an engineer. Meanwhile, at Fairview, rumors spread that Tara was only in the club because the school needed to fill a diversity quota or meet community outreach benchmarks. Marissa once even joked that Tara must have bribed someone with free oil changes. The only teacher who seemed to notice Tara's skills was Mr. Lyle, the aviation instructor. He'd seen her poring over manuals, drawing blueprints during lunch, and solving mechanical issues faster than the club's so-called tech leads. But even he had little power to change the club's social hierarchy. Then came the announcement. Asterisk, the Regional Young Aviator Showcase would be held in May. And this year, the competition included a new challenge: in-flight engineering. Teams would have to fly a short course in a small aircraft, then perform a real-time mechanical fix on a simulated mid-air fault. Judging would be based on flight performance, teamwork, and the ability to solve technical issues under pressure. Asterisk was the biggest opportunity the club had seen. Winning would mean scholarships, internships, and national recognition. Asterisk naturally, Marissa nominated herself as pilot. Asterisk, the club backed her without question. She had the most flying hours, the flashiest record, and the confidence of someone used to first-class everything. Asterisk, but when it came to selecting a co-pilot, someone with real mechanical skill, the decision got complicated. Asterisk, two boys from the robotics team volunteered, but fumbled basic questions about aircraft hydraulics. A senior who looked the part didn't even know where the avionics panel was located. Asterisk, and then all eyes turned to Tara. Asterisk. Well, Mr. Lyle said in a staff meeting, she rebuilt a glider with her father from scrap, past the FAA repair module, with top marks, and already logged more lab hours than anyone here. Asterisk, Marissa's expression soured when the faculty overrode the club's vote and named Tara as the official co-pilot. Asterisk. She's just here because she can hold a wrench, Marissa whispered under her breath when they met for their first practice flight. Tara ignored her. They spent the next 3 weeks preparing. Marissa insisted on piloting solo during the early runs, brushing off Tara's suggestions on control calibration and fuel line inspections. I fly, you tinker, she said. Asterisk, but when their test flights began experiencing intermittent engine hiccups, it was Tara who spotted the faulty injector line. When their autopilot stuttered, Tara rewired it using spare parts she'd brought from home. She never asked for thanks. Asterisk, and still, the jokes continued. Asterisk, you'll probably bring your dad's toolbox on stage, huh? Asterisk, don't mess up and make us crash, mechanic girl. Asterisk, the night before the competition, Tara sat alone in the hangar, cross-checking every bolt and seal on their aircraft. Her father called, as he always did before big events. Asterisk, ready to show them what DeWitts are made of? He asked. Asterisk, Tara smiled. Yeah, I've got a good feeling. Asterisk, she didn't say she was nervous. She didn't mention how much the mockery had worn on her, how badly she wanted to prove herself not just to them, but to herself. Asterisk, the next morning, the crowd at the airfield buzzed with excitement. Planes lined the tarmac. Judges stood by, with clipboards. Cameras rolled. Asterisk, when Marissa climbed into the cockpit, she adjusted her sunglasses like she was walking a red carpet. Asterisk, Tara climbed in after, strapping herself in quietly. She placed her toolkit under the seat. Just in case. Asterisk, they took off smoothly. The sun lit the sky gold and blue, and for a brief moment, Tara forgot everything. Every joke, every whisper, every sideways glance. Asterisk, up here, in the air, none of that mattered, until the alarm went off. The indicator light flashed red. Asterisk, the stabilizer had failed. The alarm blared like a siren in a dream. For a moment, both girls froze. Then the plane lurched hard to the right. Marissa grabbed the yoke, white-knuckled. What the hell was that? Asterisk, Tara's eyes darted to the control panel. A flashing red indicator blinked above the external stabilizer system. She knew the plane's blueprint by heart. It was a known weak spot, something she'd flagged in her pre-flight check the day before. But Marissa had waved her off. Asterisk, just fly the route. Marissa hissed, trying to stabilize the plane. "We'll deal with it when we land." Tara unbuckled. "What are you doing?" Marissa shouted, her voice rising. The wind outside screamed. Like it was warning them. Tara ignored her. She reached behind the seat and pulled her compact toolkit onto her lap. "We can't land like this. If we lose control of the tail rudder, we'll spin out during descent. I need to access the stabilizer housing now." Marissa looked at her like she was insane. "You're not seriously going to open the access panel mid-air, **. But Tara was already on her knees, strapping into the rear harness system. She opened the inner panel that led to the maintenance compartment. The wind shoved through the airframe as soon as she cracked the seal, loud and wild. She felt it claw at her sleeves, but she didn't hesitate. This wasn't like the glider. This was louder, faster, and far more dangerous. But the fundamentals were the same. She wriggled into the narrow crawl space toward the stabilizer system, her fingers clamping onto bolts and struts for leverage. Every vibration in the aircraft thrummed through her bones. She reached the housing. A metal panel bolted down by 6 screws and unsnapped the latches. Her eyes scanned the wires. There it was. The control servo was out of alignment, shaking loose from a faulty bracket, probably stress-worn from months of overuse. If it snapped mid-flight, they'd lose rudder control entirely. She reached for her wrench. Back in the cockpit, Marissa kept the plane level as best she could, beads of sweat breaking across her forehead. She kept glancing at the rear-view mirror, trying to catch sight of Tara. "You alive back there?" She shouted into the com. Tara's voice crackled back. Calm. Focused. "Just give me 5 minutes." "You have 3. We're almost at the final turn." Marissa's voice was sharp, but something inside her had shifted. For the first time, she wasn't the one in control, and she knew it. Tara worked fast. Her fingers were small, nimble, trained from years of restoring impossible machines. She reinforced the bracket with a secondary clamp she'd designed herself from aircraft-grade aluminum. She'd brought it just in case, though she hadn't really believed she'd need it. She tightened it down, double-checked the servos. Angle, then clipped the stabilizer spring in place. "Try the rudder." She radioed. Marissa did. The aircraft responded instantly, banking gently to the left like it was born to fly. A breath of silence filled the cockpit. Tara sealed the compartment and returned to her seat, arms trembling but steady. Her face was flushed, her hair wild from the wind, and her hands were streaked with grease and cold sweat. "You fixed it?" Marissa said, half-dazed. Tara just nodded and buckled in. They finished the course in perfect formation. Smooth turns. Controlled descent. The plane touched down like it was gliding on silk. The crowd at the airfield exploded. No one had seen what happened in the air. From the ground, it looked like a flawless run. But the judges knew better the in-flight telemetry. Data revealed the stabilizer fault and the real-time correction. One of the mechanics watching had nearly dropped his clipboard. When he saw Tara's fix in the logs. As they climbed out of the plane, Marissa looked stunned. She didn't smile. She didn't say thank you. She simply stepped away from the spotlight. As the crowd swarmed Tara, judges, reporters, and instructors all rushed toward her. Questions flew like sparks. Was that a mid-air fix? How did you stabilize a mechanical fault without landing? Where did you learn that technique? Tara didn't know what to say. The applause, the cameras, it was overwhelming. She wasn't used to this kind of attention. Mr. Lyle reached her first, grinning from ear to ear. "That was the most impressive in-flight correction I've ever seen from a student or a pro." Asterisk Tara blinked. It was just a bracket. It could have failed if we didn't catch it. Asterisk, you caught it. And you fixed it? Mid-air. That's more than impressive. That's aviation history. Asterisk, someone handed her the competition trophy. Her name was being announced over the loudspeaker. Asterisk, she looked down at her hands, still covered in oil and wine burn, and thought of her father. Asterisk, she pulled out her phone, stepped away from the chaos, and snapped a quick selfie with the plane. Behind her, and the trophy in hand. Asterisk, she texted it to her dad with a simple caption. Asterisk greater than turns out all those weekends paid off. The reply came almost immediately. Greater than damn right they did. Proud of you, kid. That night, the story went viral. Mechanic's daughter performs mid-air repair, saves competition flight. Small-town girl outflies the elites. Future of engineering has a name, Tara DeWitt. Asterisk, the Fairview Prep website featured her on the front page for the first time. College recruiters started reaching out. Boeing and Lockheed Martin both sent early internship invites. Even NASA shared the story on social media. Asterisk, but what changed most wasn't just the headlines. Asterisk, it was the way people looked at her. Asterisk, at school. Classmates who had never spoken to her suddenly wanted to sit with her at lunch. Teachers who once barely remembered her name now quoted her answers in class. Even Marissa, the girl who had mocked her every chance she got, cornered her in the hallway a week later. Asterisk. Misjudged you, she said, not quite meeting Tara's eyes. Asterisk, Tara smiled gently. Yeah, a lot of people do. There was no venom in her voice, just truth. She didn't want revenge. She had already won. Asterisk, back at home, the garage was the same. As ever, the walls were still covered in old license plates, the floor stained with years of work. But now, the dusty shelf above her dad's toolbox held something new, a gold trophy, right next to an old photograph of Tara as a little girl holding a wrench twice the size of her hand. Asterisk, she didn't change who she was to fit in with the Flyers. At Fairview, she brought her world with her, every bolt, every smudge of grease, every ounce of quiet pride her father taught her. Asterisk, and when it mattered most, she didn't just soar. She fixed the wings mid-flight, because Tara DeWitt wasn't just a mechanic's daughter. Asterisk, she was an engineer in the sky.